What's up, guys? It's that time of year once again. The time for festivities, the time for friends and family, the time for feasting, the time for celebrating Jesus Christ, the time for decking the halls with boughs of holly, and it's also that time for shoveling 10 feet of snow off your driveway. Unless you live in a place where snow does not exist, that is. Many will say that 2021 was a dismal year, while others will say that it was an exact replica of 2020, only a lot worse. But the important thing is, we made it to the end of this hellish year, which is why it brings me great pain to say that this will be the final video that I post in this year before going on my holiday hiatus. If you guys enjoyed all of the wonderful content that I made throughout the year for you guys to enjoy, drop a comment and a like and a subscription will be very much appreciated, and I'll be seeing you guys in 2022. So, for all that aside, let's start the show.
Only one trick to this, kid. What I say, jump!
100 sins right off the bat for you even thinking about touching this masterpiece. Also, what is this title card, Jeremy? Everything spoilers wrong, duh, with? This man is 40 plus years old and can't even create a proper title format. I've seen 9-year-olds that could do a better job than this.
The first 5 seconds of this movie are black screen.
So, we've officially gotten to that point in CinemaSins' career where they've gotten too lazy to actually go and look for mistakes in movies, so they gotta resort to cheap gags and petty nitpicks like this in order to pad the runtime and feel better about themselves. Also, Jeremy points things out on the screen cliche.
How huge his bedroom is! No matter what this kid's problems, they are all first world problems. Honestly, these are some bare-ass walls. Does this kid even have a personality?
No. Also, CinemaSins is under the impression that because someone doesn't have any decorations in their room, that makes them a robot. The issue with this logic is that whenever we do get presented with a character that does have a lot of decorations in their room, that makes their character a bit too colorful for the CinemaSins team to handle. Do you like decorations or do you not, CinemaSins? Make up your mind already, you geniuses.
Shadow in a movie is actually something else that honestly would have never made the original Shadow in the first place cliche.
Yeah, but isn't that how an optical illusion works? By giving the visual impression of one thing and then turning out to be something completely different? It's a nifty little trick that a lot of movie companies have used in the past and still continue to use today. Besides, it's like Sir Theodore said on that one episode of Jane and the Dragon.
Fool the mind, and the battle is yours.
Figuring out Santa isn't real. The first time I asked my mom and dad if Santa was real, they were honest with me and said that he's based on a generous man in history who would give presents to children, but that he wasn't alive anymore. I appreciated their honesty, but later they may have regretted it when they got a call from my kindergarten teacher saying, "I told the class Santa is real, he's just dead."
This man honestly expects us to believe that the child version of him really went to school in the morning and told all of his classmates and his teacher that Santa was dead. Well, considering that he's ruining a movie that most people that were born and raised in the early 2000s beloved and grew up on, I honestly don't blame him. This is what happens when parents don't tell their little ones to not say certain things that might ruin the childhoods of other kids later on. Plus, everyone knows that telling your kid that Santa is dead is like telling a Christian that God is fake. You deserve to get slapped to sleep at that point.
The radiator steaming off at the same time the Polar Express engine steams off, and okay, I know what kind of movie this is now, and it can go f*** itself. I prefer movies that use train steam whistles as a sexual orgasm metaphor, thank you very much.
You do realize this was meant to serve as a visual and an audible metaphor that the train was coming, right? I mean, how many people can you think of that don't get moved by the sheer power and brute force that an American steam locomotive exemplifies whenever it passes by? Also, Jeremy mentions boners while sending a movie for kids.
I guess this is only visible to kids because there's enough light coming from these trailing train cars to wake up the whole neighborhood if they are actually visible.
Well, then it's a good thing all of this crap is happening in a dream and not real life.
Roll credits.
Jeremy points things out on the screen cliche.
There are no seatbelts on the Polar Express.
And here's photos of real life passenger train interiors that don't have any seatbelts or any type of safety restraints for that matter. This scene is not too far off from reality is what I'm saying.
Baldwin 284 S3 class Berkshire type steam locomotive.
Rail fans.
Oof, going after the entire community, are we? I mean, I would have expected you more if you would have said foamers, considering there are quite a few that cream their pants whenever a train passes by. But you said rail fans as if all rail fans in general are like this. I mean, Jesus.
Look at all those presents. I want all all of them.
Agreed.
Yes, but this is what you'd expect from a child at Christmas time, right? Especially the ones that act all high and mighty because they had the privilege of growing up in a community like Beverly Hills.
Tickets, please.
You should ask this question when they're boarding. Saves a lot of trouble. Just ask the blimp conductor in Last Crusade.
First of all, the conductor wasn't asking a question. He was telling the kids to get their tickets out so he could check them. Also, Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin.
No one will be seated during the Be Our Guest portion of the CGI train movie.
The millions of people that first saw this movie when it released worldwide would love to disagree with you, Jer, as they not only remained seated throughout the entire thing, but they also sang along because the song was just that good. But of course, an uncultured swine like you wouldn't understand.
The spurting of the hot chocolate all to the correct distance to fill each cup is gross, mathematically impossible, and gross.
Who gives a about any of the stuff that you just mentioned? It's a kids movie that's meant to entertain us, not give a one-to-one representation of Newton's laws of physics.
Dick sweater. Honestly, with this ticket floating exactly like a feather and the train in the background, I'm not sure whether I should be humming the Forrest Gump theme or the Harry Potter theme. I guess it's like my mom used to say, life is like a box of chocolate frogs. You try not to think about the cloacas while experiencing it.
Not sure which theme you want to hum throughout this sequence, eh? Well, considering the amount of cringe jokes you made about Hermione not being old enough to be hot yet, as well as the many times you joked about your imaginary college ex-girlfriend, this ought to be the theme you should be practicing.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John don't come for you?
Also, squawk! Oh, I got a golden ticket!
Jeremy tries to sing in a video cliche. I swear to God, this guy is more out of tune than a Chanel West Coast album.
He screams like anyone can hear him on this moving train in this torrential snow downpour.
Sorry if I sound like a snobby Harvard graduate for a minute, but snow? Downpour? Don't you mean blizzard? Of course you do, but who am I to teach a 40-year-old creep about grammar?
Also, frostbite, sitting frostbite, because both this hobo and this child riding on the roof of a moving train in a snowstorm should have really bad frostbite by now. Like, in real life, this kid loses a foot, maybe even a shin.
This would be an actual sin of the movie if it was possible for both of these guys to get frostbitten. But unfortunately, only Hero Boy will be in danger of getting frostbite as the hobo is already dead.
But you don't want to be bamboozled. You don't want to be led down the primrose path.
Actually, the primrose path just means taking the easy way and experiencing a life of pleasure and ease. It's being led down the garden path that means being deceived. Come on, Hobo Hanks, you should know better.
You see, guys, this is an actual sin of the movie. This piece of dialogue right here proves that CinemaSins can look for plot holes and continuity errors throughout a movie, but instead they choose to waste all that precious brain power on terrible puns that will be more suitable for a Saturday Night Live skit. These clowns are trying so hard to be the next TMZ and are just failing miserably.
Come on, kid. Flip my shoulders. Grab my lily.
The subtitles say he just said, "Grab my lily," and now I'm nominating "Grab my lily" as the worst thing ever under any circumstances to say to a child.
That's a classic coming from someone that makes non-stop jokes about children relationships in every video that he makes.
That's good. Your Jason must have moved on ahead.
Skirt, these kids are like 9. He's not chasing tail as a horny male. He's trying to give a ticket back to a fellow passenger that happens to be female.
Dude, this guy is from the 1930s. Things were way different back then.
One does not slam a light bulb into position.
This is also an actual sin of the movie. However, you completely forgot to point out that the locomotive's headlight is missing its lens in this scene. Now, I'm no expert on old-time railroading myself, but I'm pretty sure that locomotives from this time period had lenses in their headlights.
I think I'd heard to be at least 100,000, maybe even 1,000,000.
That is a huge f***ing leap.
It's called over-exaggeration, Jeremy. Something that you're prone to doing in every single one of your videos.
Well, that's just inefficient track design right there. It's almost like this section was designed to simulate a roller coaster instead of actually make sense.
Yeah, but that's kind of the purpose of scenes like this, isn't it? To provide a sense of danger for the protagonist while also making things a bit more exciting. Plus, you can't just travel from point A to point B without having some sort of obstacles to make the trip more exciting.
So after helping save a life, train top hobo man turns to dust?
I mean, what else do you want him to do in this situation, Jeremy? He's a ghost. He's not gonna stick around where he doesn't want to.
Fate of the Furious 100% watched this movie while high and took inspiration too far.
Jeremy makes a Fast and Furious pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the movie cliche.
This train full of abandoned toys brought to you by hoarders.
And today's pop culture reference is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
I'm not going to play it, but she somehow knows the exact song he's singing and joins right in. And if there's one thing worse than musicals, it's musicals that don't even pretend to be musicals until halfway in and then go full musical. That's right, I don't count that discount. She starts singing and I'm like...
Everything wrong with the Polar Express, ladies and gentlemen. This bullcrap. Also, sending this scene. This is literally one of the greatest scenes in the whole movie, and you're sending it. So guess how many sins I'm gonna give you for that. That's right.
Why is the train track from here to the city so f***ing zigzaggy? This is just wasteful of materials, time, gasoline, etc.
While I do agree that it's a bit unnecessary for the bridge to be this curvy, you tend to forget that the North Pole in this movie is portrayed as a heavily industrialized area, meaning they could produce thousands of miles of track and still have materials left over for the next year. Also, time is not a factor either because, as shown multiple times throughout the movie, time literally freezes at 11:55 p.m. until the train does eventually make it to the North Pole. Also, where did you get a waste of gasoline from? The Polar Express is a coal and water powered locomotive, for Christ's sakes. I mean, if you go back to the caribou scene, you can literally see steamer shoveling coal into the firebox.
At least doesn't shy away from showing all the pollution from trains.
And even so, they still manage to pollute way less than 85% of the cars, buses, trucks, SUVs, and motorcycles that clog up America's highways and city roads.
You're gonna be okay. Baby, no!
Hey Larry, our movie's gonna be on IMAX screens in 3D. Should we do anything special? Sure, why not a POV roller coaster sequence? Larry, you're a genius. No one could ever get bored with those. Let's do 3.
Jeremy talks to himself while yelling at the screen cliche. How many times have we seen that throughout the year?
Stand By Me called, and it's putting you kids on blast, FYI.
If I was forced to take a shot every time Jeremy made an obscure reference to a TV show or movie that no one's ever heard of, I'd be halfway fucking dead by now.
Painting the Great Lakes the same color as land on your globe.
Yeah, and what's the issue here? Isn't this literally every globe ever?
I swear by this point the movie is more 3D gimmick than actual movie. I swear by this point the movie is more video game side quest than actual movie.
I swear by this point this video is just random pop culture references and pointing things out on the screen instead of actually looking for mistakes in movies. Oh wait, that's every CinemaSins video ever made? Gotcha.
I'm sorry, Mr. Elf, but if you release your chute this low from that height, you're destined to be an elf on the shelf, because you're dead and cremated and in an urn on a shelf. Just... what do I even say at this point?
Since it's Christmas, I'm gonna let you slide.
So, elves are dicks, then? I just want to be clear that we all agree that elves are dicks.
I mean, can you blame them though? They've been busy all year keeping tabs on who's nice and who's naughty, as well as making toys and clothes for all of the good little boys and girls in the world. They deserve to have a little fun, even if it means being a bit of an asshole every now and then. Elves are people too.
Can a movie die? I'd like this movie to die, and suffer in the process.
I bet that's what 9 million people are secretly wishing would happen to your channel, given how far the quality of your content has decreased. It's honestly rather shocking that you haven't been cancelled for that Richard Harris joke you made in the Chamber of Secrets video. That was a new low, even for your standards. There are many things that we do not joke about, and someone's death is one of those things.
Pro tip on ringing a sleigh bell, or really any bell, don't hold it by the bell part. It absolutely wouldn't make a ringing sound like this, and you'll be stuck never believing in Santa forever.
Even though it's nice that Jeremy finally found another actual mistake in this movie, I do find it a bit humorous that he casually talks to the movie characters like they can hear him or something. I think the magic of Christmas time is starting to affect his brain.
Yes, sir.
And you, young lady?
This is some Wizard of Oz right here.
Blah blah blah, something something pop culture reference, blah blah blah.
Remember, the true spirit of Christmas.
Skip!
Once again, this is one of the best scenes in the entire movie, and old Jeremizer Scrooge over here decides to send it. I ain't tripping though, because if he keeps this up, he's gonna get a visit from our friendly neighborhood Krampus.
Seems like the reindeer take a good several seconds of leg whipping before they get going, and that's hilarious, but also humanizing, and I'm not even sure what I mean, but I'm adding a sin. Also, I do want to close my eyes. I do want to fall asleep, cause this is embarrassing, baby. And I wouldn't mind missing this thing.
Jeremy tries to sing in a video cliche. At this point, he's making Nick Cannon look like a professional opera singer.
Sigh. No human can cut holes in any kind of paper this quickly.
That's because you are aware that the conductor is not a regular human being. Just like the train itself, he is magical, meaning that he is capable of superhuman feats like this. Even a 4-year-old with only one functioning brain cell would know this simple fact.
One thing about trains, it doesn't matter where they're going. What matters is deciding to get on.
This may be the stupidest inspirational movie quote in the history of movie quotes. Of course it matters where the train is going. The whole point of the movie is that this train went to the North Pole. This is the worst advice ever, and that vaguely human blob of computer-generated code should be ashamed that they even said it.
Spoken like a true Twitter keyboard warrior that has no idea what he's talking about. If you pay any sort of attention throughout this movie's runtime, you'll know that the message, while rather vague, is quite powerful. You cannot allow your self-doubts to overcome you and prevent you from being the best person that you could possibly be in life. Also, that was not the dumbest inspirational movie quote of all time. That title goes to the Fast and Furious franchise with its countless quotes about family.
He sneaks back into his house undetected because his parents don't exist.
Or maybe they're upstairs passed out drunk after drinking a big bottle of champagne after believing that their kids are fast asleep. That's also a possibility.